Hi. So welcome back to the marketing lesson. And today's topic is the consumer behavior. So being the consumers, as we all know, we are the consumers in the society. But of course, you being the business personalities, you can be the vendors, we can call you as the sellers as well. But of course, for our consumption purposes and for day-to-day life, we are buying some of the commodities from the sellers, the market, right? From the available market. It can be a product or a service, but we are buying them from the available market. Fine. So that is not a sort of a different concept, but it's very simple. There we can see it is very practical, right? So today's lesson, we are expecting to understand the concept of consumer because there are types of customers, of course. So we are going to differentiate the consumer from the customers, and we are going to discuss about the consumerism. It's a recent trend, right? It's a recent concept, so we are going to discuss about that. And as well as we are going to elaborate on the consumer decision making process, where there are a series of steps, and we are going to discuss about them as well, and the consumer buying situations, as well as the influences. What are the influences on the consumer buying decision making? And as well as finally, we are going to discuss about the family as a business consumer decision making unit. So basically, how the families are making the decisions and what are the influential factors involved in making decisions, and so on and so forth. Right. So moving to the first slide of our lesson, I'm pretty sure that you all can view the slides as well. So who's a consumer? Now, regularly we can call a person as a customer, but we see there's a concept called consumer. So what are the differences between these two concepts, right? Almost we are a customer. You know why? Because we don't know. Now, when it comes to a market, there can be customers and consumers both. Why? What is the reason? Assume a situation where you are going to buy a product or a service from your retail outlet, or let's say it's your service provider. So you are going to buy a product or a service from the market for your ultimate satisfaction. That is, let's say, to quench the thirst, you will buy a product which is available in the market, let's say a fruit drink, from your retailer, and you will consume it. So in that case, you are a consumer. But when it comes to a scenario where being a business personality or being business, some of the managers, you will buy some products from a wholesaler, or let's say from a distributor or from an agent to your business, and after that you will not consume it, but you will make them available to consume by the consumers. That is for the consumption of the others, right? So that is, in that case, we can call you as a customer, where you are not going to consume it for your ultimate satisfaction. So these are the differences between these two. So easily, the concept of consumer can be described or defined as a person who buys a product or a service for the end consumption or for the ultimate satisfaction. So that is a concept of consumer. So there's there's an example as well. So you can read it and understand, and we'll move to the consumerism. So in recent past, we've got the with the evolution and with the trends in information technology as well. So the consumers are much aware about the products available in the market, or it can be a service either. But all the information which are relevant for these products and services are existing in the market, and the consumers are having the access to it or access to them. In this case, the consumers can compare the product features, the whatever the attributes that they do have, as well as the costs, the price, right? Every the descriptive details are available from the internet or even the media, or let's say in newspapers, and also through the brochures. So, when it comes to the right, let's say, no one can influence us. Let's say there's a vendor. The vendor cannot influence us to refrain from searching for the information, right? Nobody can ask you to refrain from finding the information, even though somebody is telling you that is the best product available in the market. But of course, you have the right get to know about the information about that particular product, or let's say the type of the product, right? If you feel that there are so many other products which are parallel, or let's say which are beneficial to you than this product, of course you can go for it. So in that case, you are having the sufficient information to make the decision, right? So having the right to access to the correct information about the products and services, so we can call it as the consumerism, or we can call the right of the consumer to be informative on a product or a service is, or attentive on specifications, products or services information of a particular product is called the consumerism. So with the consumerism, you being the consumers, you are very stronger than the vendors. So vendors cannot push whatever they have, because you have sufficient information available with yourself, and you have the right to get to know. So that is called the consumerism. So you can, through the consumerism, you can access to the information, as well as you can make the decision in an efficient way, which will be beneficial for you for your consumption, right? So we'll move to the consumer buying decision making, right? What do you mean by decision making? So in decision making, you being a consumer, you will, you can see in a general market scenario, you can see different products available, and also you might be having sort of need of a particular product, and you will, with the consumerism, with the development of the information technology as well, you will gather some information as well, and after that you will analyze them, and you will make a sort of a decision over that, and you will experience the product. Finally you will decide what to buy again, based on your experience. It can be based on your experience, or based on the whatever the information that you received, you will decide on what to buy. So this is the simple process of consumer decision making. We are not going to make the have the board meetings and make the decisions in consumer decision making, right? Because you being a consumer, you have the right to make the decisions over the particular product or service. Even let's say whenever you want to buy toffee or a sweet item from a shop, you don't want to call for the board meetings and get the decisions. Being a family member, you don't want to call for all your family members, and you don't want to make the meetings, right? So consumer decision making is a very distinct, but still it's very quick decision making. But throughout this decision making, we have series of steps to be followed, where you're still following, right? Okay, we'll get to know. So this is very practical. There's no rocket science in this. Okay. So customers, or the consumer, let's say a consumer, should be attentive to, see the slide, initially should identify the requirement of such. Now if you feel thirst, you don't want to buy anything to eat, right? Because your feeling is not the hunger, your feeling is the thirst. So you must find out something to quench your thirst. When it comes to the second one, identify the products and service available. Now let's say for your thirst, you must be having a solution, right? C, compare the information. And D, either purchasing or evolving, or else idle behavior, which is not going to buy you or nothing, right? And if buys, whether to repeat the same or to not. So these are the things you consider whenever you are making the decisions. But in a way which is to be, when it comes to the marketing, we must explain all these things in a conceptual way. So because of that, we have 5 types of steps known as consumer decision making process. So it contains, the first step is problem recognition, second one is information search, third one is information evaluation, fourth one is decision making, and the fifth one is the post-purchase behavior of the consumer, right? We are here to discuss about the B2C markets, business to consumer. We call them as B2C, right? We'll move further. Now, problem recognition stage. You will have to identify what sort of a problem is that, okay? Is it hunger? Is it thirst? Is it need of safety? Right? What sort of a need is that? So you must first understand that as well. Then let's say in an example it says feeling of thirst. So the solution is to quench the thirst. Right? Now once you identified this problem recognition, and you will see what are the possible options to identify, or let's say to satisfy my need, right? So what are the things? So then the next one is information search, the second step. First we recognize the problem, then the second one is the information search. What are the available products or the services which matches to satisfy your need? That has to be addressed. So what are the possible options available to quench the thirst? It can be a drink, right? Let's say quench the thirst, it should be a drink, and it can be water, it can be a carbonated drink, it can be a fresh juice. There are different types of varieties, right? There are so many brands available in the market. So you must understand what are the information search, in the sense you will find out so many sources, so many types of ways that you can satisfy your thirst or quench your thirst. Then the third one is information evaluation. Now in information evaluation, in the sense you are going to compare the things with available information. You have 2 types or 3 types of options. With them you will see what are the prices, what are the convenience, let's say what are the places that you can buy, or what is the now as an example, if you are in a position of a meeting, so you can't ask somebody to bring you mixed fruit juice, right? You can easily drink a glass of water or bottle of water maybe, right? So you must understand, you have to address on some of the availability features, let's say. Let's call them as that, right? Can be price, convenience, whatever. Then, now typically, whenever you are receiving that sort of so much of information, consumers are often meeting with the status called information overload. So information, in the sense that while you are searching for the information and while you do evaluation of information, you will receive much of information which are not necessary to make your decision. Let's say, as an example, while you are searching for the market available drinks, you may also receive some of the information about some of let's say the alcoholic drinks as well. But for your purpose, it's not relevant, right? Now, receiving whatever the irrelevant information for your pool of information, it is what we call as information overload, and you will feel messy because you're not going to make some sort of a the information whatever you receive are not useful for you, right? In that case, we call it as a status of information overload. Right. So once you have compared and evaluated among the individual information, and then finally you will select an option or 2 option maybe, that is you're going to purchase it or you're going to have it. That is what we call as decision, consumer decision. Now there can be more options, there can be more variables, there can be more areas that you are looking for, and with the concern of all these things, you will make the final decision, that is to purchase a product or a service from the market, which is existing, which is available, right? So then, once you made the decision, you will definitely, anyway you are going to consume it, no? You are not going to throw it away, you will consume it. Finally, the 6th stage is the post-purchase behavior. Now, basically, the recommendations, and most of your people, most of your friends are recommending you on a product. That is just because of they have seen an advertisement on that. But of course, most of your friends are recommending some of the products to you because they have experienced it. experience them. So that is why they are recommending. So with your experience, you will understand or you will realize what's your next stage, in the sense whether you are going to buy it or not. That is what you call as post-purchase behavior. It can be influenced through different sort of factors, like when it comes to price, when it comes to the taste, when it comes to the convenience, or let's say the marketplace, and when it comes to the after sales services, we call it. So this much of, and also there are some other factors can also be influenced, like the social status and mentality of consumption, like that. So all these matters will be uh, influenced for your post-purchase behavior, whether to buy it or not. Right. So these are the, simply, these can be seen as the basic 5 stages of the consumer decision making. First one is problem recognition, information search, information evaluation. What else? Decision making and the post-purchase behavior. Right. So basically we discussed about 5 things, and especially I have to emphasize on this as well, the cognitive dissonance. Here in marketing, it's not very relevant for marketing, but of course, when it comes to the post-purchase behavior, you may have seen some of your friends who met with the wrong products, right? Who have consumed some of the wrong products are still recommending, or let's say probably if your people, if your most of your friends are having vehicles, in a wrong decision making, where they have made a decision on an inferior sort of a product, or let's say it's not that sort of a quality product, in your words, right? So because of that, in an instance where you are trying to buy another vehicle, they may say, okay, fine, this is the vehicle that I'm having. Everybody is telling bad of it, but still the vehicle is very good for me, right? You try it, right? Because why? Because they are just recommending because of this cognitive dissonance, right? How can we explain the cognitive dissonance? Cognitive dissonance is being psychologically uncomfortable, but trying to balance the choice made against the doubt still held about it. Now, even if you're, made a decision, let's say your friend made a decision and he, let's say he or she bought it, and still the product is with him or her. So because of that, they cannot reject, even though it is uncomfortable, even though they feel that they are feeling, right, that they feel that is uncomfortable for them, but still they say this is a good product. So that is what you call as cognitive dissonance in marketing, right? Make that point. Then we'll go for the consumer. Under the consumer buying behavior, we are going to discuss about the consumer buying situations. There are so many situations where you buy products, right? As an example, while you are running to your examination, so you want a ruler, that is your mathematical examination. So pointless to go for a mathematical examination without ruler, right? So because of that, you will buy a ruler from the nearest shop, nearest kiosk. So at that moment, you will make a decision whether to buy a large rule, or let's say a lengthy rule, or a sort of a short rule, right? So in that case, you're not going to make, because it's almost like 7:55 in the morning, so your examination begins at 8:05 in the school, right? The shop is next to your college, and you're going to buy it. In that case, you are not going to find out the information, and you are not going to evaluate all this information, and you will not that. You don't have sufficient time. But of course, simultaneously, when it comes to your reaction, you will make those types of, you will directly make the decision in that case. You will also, you're having, with your existence knowledge, with your existing knowledge, you will make a decision over your purchase. So in that case, you will run to the nearest shop and you will buy a ruler and come. That is what you call as routine problem solving. So mostly the people, those who are, making the decisions on the convenience products or services, are making these types of a decision. Let's say in routine problem solving, consumers are likely to experience the same purchase behavior in a regular basis, right? So sudden decision making where you are not going to make it because what you need is a ruler, so you will buy it from the nearest shop, right? You are not going to see the quality of it and nothing. Not just because of your excitement and not just because of you don't have the time, but still you're not going to find for more information, right? With your existence knowledge, you will be doing it. And then the next one is limited problem solving. Now we discussed about the routine problem solving. The second one is the limited problem solving, where you are much aware, you're trying to much make an awareness about buying a product. It can be a shopping good where it's more expensive than the routine case. You will let's say buying a mobile phone. It's a bit expensive than that, no? Well, right. I'm not talking about the latest mobile phones, right? Which will cost around 250,000 and above. Nah, nothing, right? I'm just talking about the phones cost around 5,000, 10,000, or 50,000 at least. So when it comes to limited problem solving, we can call it as less frequent and probabilistic occurrence, moderate expensive solutions, right? And also, the consumers are trying to much aware about the products available in the market because they need some of the information and they are going to evaluate them. So that is called the limited problem solving. Then the third one, that is called extended problem solving. Imagine a situation where you are going to buy a car, a vehicle, which is very, it's considerably to the others, which is very cost. You have to, bear, it's very expensive. Because of that, you will find for so much of information and you will do some sort of additional information search, and the effort is very high in making your decision through evaluation. It can be the comments from your friends, it can be comments from the internet, it can be comments from the sellers, and you will search for the consumer experience as well, and it's a much of effort, right? After that you will make a sort of a decision that is called extended problem solving, right? So these are the three steps or three types of the consumer buying situations in the market, right? Then I told you, finally, whatever we have said and done, but still we are having a family. Ultimately, we must consider about the family decision making. Family decision making in the sense there are so many influential factors. Now let's say in your college times or probably in your undergrads times, if you wanted to buy something which is expensive, you must have to, because since you didn't have actually the source of income for your own, but you can ask the family members, let's say the father and mother, because when it comes to the only child families, having a single child in the family, so if you are that single child, so you have to ask it from your father or the mother. But remember, you didn't make any decision over the product purchase, because why? There were three people. Now when it comes to the present case, let's say there are five forces influencing over this family decision making unit. In making the purchase decision in your family, the consumer decision making, there are five types of forces influencing on this decision making. The first one is the initiator, who's going to initiate this. Now as an example, the one who make the urgency of this need. Let's say you are the person to, and probably for this example, we'll get we'll get an instance of a baby wants to eat a chocolate cake, right? The infant. Okay, so the infant make the urgency of the chocolate cakes, right? To eat that, he or she needs the cake to eat, right? But the infant cannot buy it from market, no. So because of that, you should be having an influencer, the second factor. Initiator was infant. Then the second one is the influencer. Influence is the one who influences or stimulates over that particular need. Let's say mother wants to bring or wants to buy some of the cakes for her child. That's an example, right? And she will ask your father, because father being the breadwinner, she will ask your father to buy a cake for that particular child, right? Or it can be children. So the decider is, again the mother. Why? The third force, initiator, influencer, and decider. Now, in the case of, the need of urgency, or let's say in the case of influencing, the mother would have, reject the whatever the request from the child and, stay calm. But still, she decided to make it. So, she become the decider. Initiator, influencer, decider. Then the fourth one is the purchaser. Who's going to purchase it? Anyway, ultimately, it's from the father's pocket. So, father will buy the chocolate cake for that particular child. So, that is called the purchaser. Initiator, influencer, decider, and then purchaser. Now, even though they have made the decisions, they paid or bared a sum to buy that particular cake, but still they are not going to consume it. Who's the consumer? Then consumer is called as user. That is the baby in the house, or let's say the infant in the house, right? So these are the 5 forces influencing over the family consumer decision making. That is initiator, influencer, decider, and purchaser, as well as the user, right? So these are the things I've decided to discuss today, and hope you've understood it well. So hope you all guys enjoyed the video. So thank you very much.